Welcome to the Digital Accomplice Podcast. We have a very special episode for you today. The internet is going to eat itself because we have Dane and Dane, both video experts, talking about video and Dane stuff. So, welcome, Dane. Dane Golden, welcome to the show.
Hello, Dane Fredrickson. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad that we could make this as confusing as possible. So I'm going to call you Dane Fredrickson so people aren't confused.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll call you Mr. Golden
However you like.
or other Dane. I don't know.
My brand is Dane Golden, so feel free to say
Dane
that.
Golden. Okay. So, hey, a great place to start as we can start to separate the Danes here. What's your elevator pitch? What is Dane Golden all about?
It evolves as we speak. I've spent a number of years helping YouTube channels grow and YouTube sales through YouTube ads, and now have really dived into AI, and I'm doing a lot of things there. Still nothing public yet on my projects there,
Right.
but marketing related also.
Okay. So, my goal is always to help people learn how to do more with videos. In particular, we're talking about marketers, content marketers in B2B. So, just from your unique perspective, what would you say is sort of the state of the industry? What's going on right now?
I don't know if I'm
That's okay.
qualified on industry. I can tell people things that are overlooked or.
Yeah. Well, what's top of mind for you just when it comes to video and marketing and what you do?
Yeah. So have you heard those LinkedIn ads? LinkedIn's the place for B2B.
I think so.
Yeah, at any rate, LinkedIn's doing a lot of ads as far as, telling B2B marketers that LinkedIn's the place. And certainly it's great for that. But what really I think is a totally missed opportunity, because it's so hard to do well. Maybe it's not hard to do well, but it sort of seems like a upside down model. And that's doing B2B YouTube ads. So YouTube ads, but are targeted to B2B, because you can actually very finely target specific terms that only a particular market would be looking for. Now, the key is you don't spend a lot in your ad spend, but the sort of the management piece of that account, actually, you have to manage. It takes a little bit of cost to manage it, more than you actually want to spend. So you may spend $5 to $20 a day, but it may cost you $100 a day to manage it, type of thing.
Okay. So, just from my perspective, and for other people out there that are more have been on the organic side of
Yeah.
video content, when do you see advertising being like the next step for a B2B marketer? When does that kind of come into their playbook?
Well, I'm a huge believer in organic, but there's continually the YouTube algorithm misses someone who would like to be your customer. It doesn't know to present every video to every possible person who might be a good customer. But particular search terms, there's no reason why you shouldn't be the number one result for certain search terms on YouTube as you might try to be on Google. There's no reason, and it's actually cheaper. And you lead with an informational sale, and that is top of funnel people generally that don't really know yet what types of questions to ask. They may be asking general terms, and you lead by presenting them with a video that's not too dissimilar from your organic videos, that just is walking you through how to do something. And by the way, we sell this, whoever that person is. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I'm curious about if someone was like, "Hey, that sounds interesting. Maybe we should try that." How do they get started? What kind of budget are they looking for? What kind of time commitment is until we start seeing results? What's the just outline for that?
Yeah. Well, number one, the easiest problem to solve is overspend, because it's not the problem that you want to solve by spending a big campaign. You actually want to go narrower instead of larger. And then you want to determine which are the terms that you want to win. Sometimes these are beginner terms. Like if I was trying to sell somebody on growing their audience, most people will search for more views or more subscribers. And they were like, how do I do that? As if it's a single thing, but that's sort of a beginner question. And then what we, as we take them down the path to say, okay, well, what you really want to do is you want to make videos that capture people's attention and so forth. And it's the same thing with any industry, is that there's, you might say, sort of cocktail hour type of questions. Hey, you do that? Well, I want to know about this. And then you say, okay, well, that's a good way to start your curiosity, but the actual question is this. But we want to go to those sort of naive questions because people don't have insider language. They may just be exploring and say, I want this thing. And so we want to capture that and then provide them with that information. And we want to do very, very, very small targeted campaigns, maybe 4 different campaigns simultaneously of $5 each per day, max. I don't even know what the question was, but maybe that's helpful.
Well, you're giving us some starting places of ways to thinking about what's involved in this, right? I think one of the things I'm trying to get at is I've heard businesses, B2B businesses say, oh, our audience doesn't watch video, or like, hey, why would we be on YouTube? We're a B2B company. Have you heard that kind of stuff? And what's the answer? I think I know where you're going to go with that, but I'd like to hear it from you. What you think people would, what you would say when they say that?
Yeah. Well, when they say our audience is not on YouTube, I think what they're actually saying is people don't go to YouTube to solve the problems we're helping them solve. I mean, everyone's on YouTube. Whether it's something you're doing personally or whatever, people are on YouTube trying to solve problems. Now, the question is, can you find that person at the right time? I think is really the question. And then what do they do after that? So let's presume that your client is on YouTube for something. Maybe they need to change the oil in their car, but you're actually approaching them with an entirely different sales pitch, right? Great. So he goes to change his oil and he's like, I like to do it myself just because, it's a great old car and I don't trust the mechanic. All right. Now, but you're actually trying to sell them for your own app that's on the Salesforce platform. Okay. Two totally different things. But it being Google in the Google Ads universe, because YouTube is part of Google, you have access to a lot of data. One of the key things you have access to on YouTube, on your YouTube ads, is what has someone searched for on Google, okay? So how is it possible that you can target someone on YouTube for something they searched on Google for a few weeks ago? Well, Google retains that information, okay? So now I open up a YouTube video about how to change my oil, and it says, if you're looking for an app on the Salesforce platform that solves this problem, and you're like, how did they know it was me?
Because Google.
Because of Google. So imagine you could take all the information that someone's ever typed into Google and use that on YouTube. That's just one of the things that you can do to meet your customer where they are.
Okay. And so it sounds like you've got a pretty good handle on like how to do this well and help people. But everything's changing with AI right now. So you mentioned you've been working with AI. So what's changed, and what are you doing with a video or with AI to help video be more successful?
I think it helps with the research and understand where people are. There's tons of AI video production tools and things like that. I'm not sure where I am at yet because I'm adopting a whole new process and I don't have a lot to announce there of really great strategies. But I mean, certainly there's a lot of production strategies, but I can tell you this. Here's something that I've been very, very keen on understanding is how does, for instance, blog content or any type of content on your website change when all your searches are preempted by an AI result that answers every question? So unless you're doing a paid ad on Google, you're not really appearing there anymore. Sort of, I think that sort of organic search on Google is dying, and maybe paid is also dying. But here's one thing about YouTube is that AI has not yet solved how to make a video to teach you how to do anything. And so people are still going to video to learn to do things. And you can either come at the top of a search engine or appear before a video. So, and then, further on, I wonder is how do we stay in business at all when all questions can be answered by AI? And I think that video does something where it creates a personal connection. Like as people are watching us here, they're saying, that guy seems to have friendly body language. He seems to be trying to help me. I feel some sort of connection to him, even if someone's never met me personally. They're like, he seems like a straightforward guy. I might consider doing business with him.
Right.
Or the opposite may be true too, which is actually a good thing, because as we know, a lot of business comes in where we're not a match for somebody. What making a match is, a lot of times, is sort of communication ability. And so if someone just doesn't like the way we communicate on video, they might say, I don't want to work with Dane Golden. And that's actually a big time saver too, because you don't have to go down this presentation thing when a lot of times people make decisions just based on, it seems like a nice person. And if for whatever reason, not everyone likes everyone, we don't know why. And so that saves a lot of time. But also the positive is, hey, I really feel like this is the type of person I can work with. And so this imperfect human form that I'm in here actually helps people make a decision to buy. Whereas a blog, it doesn't quite do it so much.
Yeah, there's a couple things I'm hearing here that I think are pretty interesting. One, you're saying video is like the ultimate differentiator, right? It's me. If you don't like me, you're not going to do business with me. But if you do like me, this is the easiest way to like get to that point quickly. And then if you're not showing up in search results like you used to, organic search results, video ads that you do is a way to get in front of those people intentionally, sooner, better, easier, something like that. So you can kind of like get to the no or to the yes quicker. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
Okay. Well, then that means I understood what you said.
Okay, good.
What should be like an expectation of like a return on investment of doing like YouTube ads?
It depends on what you're selling, how easy the sales process is, how good you are at communicating. So are we sticking to B2B here in this question?
Yeah, I think generally that's my audience, but if you want to touch on B2C, it's no problem.
Well, let's start with B2B. So B2C, you're generally looking for the goal of a YouTube video or of a ad is to get somebody on some sort of website that gets somebody on some sort of email list. My opinion is that you never will sell anything on the internet at all, ever, unless you have somebody's email in some fashion. So, prove to me that you can sell something without having somebody's email, and I'll think differently. But I see it as a funnel to getting to a platform, which is get their email address. What to do with their email address is different. In a B2C, you may want to nurture them with emails about XYZ. With B2B, you're doing that too, but one of the key things is you're trying to get somebody on a phone call or a Zoom call or whatever. If you don't do that in B2B, there will be no sale, because it takes a personal, nurturing sales process. That's the whole nature of B2B. I mean, occasionally a part supplier to a B2B, but I don't think that's what we're generally talking. We're talking about a service or a SaaS or something like that. Would you agree with that so far?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So the key to running an ad is, can you find someone in a place where they're soon to be ready to have a call, or they're open to having a call? And that's in a big research phase, in an introductory phase, and they may be ready, or they may be ready in a year. So ideally you're finding someone that is nearby, within like a few months of a call. So then you're looking to what types of terms would somebody be looking up, because you're targeting generally by search terms, and what type of market they're in by those search terms. Again, either things they're searching for on Google or YouTube, but you're targeting with YouTube ads. And then you're like, well, how fast can we get to a call? And I think that companies have their own internal value assigned to a call. So if you do 10 introductory, I'm just saying example, if you do 10 introductory calls a year, one of those is going to turn into a $25,000 deal for this year. And then your average lifetime value is 2.5 years. So that's 25 plus 25 plus 12.5. So that's 62, whatever. So then you're saying, okay, well, then you have to figure that ROI. Then you're saying, well, how much is it costing us to get one call? And that's, worth 1/10 of 6,250. So that's 6,250. And then, how much are we spending to get that call? If you've spent, less than $3,000 to get that one good call, it sounds like a lot of money, but it's not, because you're making a lot of money from the sales. So that's what you back into it. And YouTube is very, very good at targeting people at exactly the moment that they want something. So when you look at it in that way, it becomes very affordable. Does that help? Because everyone's ROI on what they do in a call is different. Yeah. And so you have to sort of back that out into how much is each ad worth based on the calls.
Yeah. You did the math, so it makes sense. So one thing I'm wondering about as we're talking about this is, if I'm a B2B company and I'm like, yeah, we should test this YouTube ads thing. This sounds great. Yeah. How do they develop the creative? Is that something like, if before they work with you, do they need to already have the creative assets? And are we doing like A/B testing, lots of versions of this? How do I know that I'm ready to like start going?
Yeah. Well, before I answer that question, something else came up with a good thing people should know is that it takes a few months to know if you're on the right path. Usually we say we'll know in about 3 months whether we're on the right path or not, because the first month is research. So what I would do if I was working with someone is I say, listen, I want to know what types of terms people type into Google. And I also want to know when they're in the right phase. And I also want to know what are the first 10 questions that are asked by any person. Okay. First 10 questions on the first 10 call. Again, these may be naive or dumb questions, but they're not dumb people. They're just uninformed, right?
Yeah.
So the salespeople know what those 10 questions are. And sometimes the search results on your website or other terms you're winning for Google Ads will tell you that. So we want to know what those first 10 questions are, because like you said, A/B testing, the most important thing of any YouTube ad is, they call it the hook. It's the first 5 to 15 seconds, because people want to, the first thing any YouTube viewer does when they see a YouTube video or a YouTube ad, any of them, is we want to leave. We're just very suspicious when we come in, and we want to know, is that what was promised, or is it relevant for me, right? Promised either with a image and a thumbnail and a title, or what's being promised in the video or ad itself. So our first thing we want to do is leave. So our job is to get them to not leave, or actually sometimes in a YouTube ad, our job is to get them to leave immediately, because we don't pay until 30 seconds transpires. And we want the non-targeted people to leave as soon as possible so we don't have to pay for them. And we don't want to waste people's time, right? I mean, you just don't want to be a jerk. So you keep people's respect. And so when we find out those first 10 questions, so let me use the Salesforce app example again. Are you looking for an app that helps you do CRM? Are you helping, SEO? Drill information on your clients. Okay, let's say those are the things that you want to do on the Salesforce platform. Okay, well, that's my first sentence of the ad.
And if I don't want those things, I'm clicking away.
Yes. Yeah.
Saving money.
Yeah. It actually, each of those sentences says two things, right? It says, if you want this, you're in the right place. And if you don't want this, please leave. And that is confusing to some people, because they're like, well, I'm good for everyone. I want to help everyone. Anyone could possibly. It's not true. It's just not true. And it's a waste of your time and money to go after everyone. That's why we turn the sort of mass marketing approach on its head. And that's why most people click off of YouTube ads, is because it's not for them, because people have no idea how to target. But targeting on YouTube is not that hard. What you see a lot in automotive ads or other things like that is you see people just saying, well, at some point I might want a Chrysler. So we're just going to tell you about it for 5 years. And then every 5 years, when you look for a new car, you'll remember that we exist. But I don't think that's what I'm approach. I'm taking a much more narrow approach. So that hook, that first 5 to 15 seconds, is that question. And it's narrowly targeted to someone who is in the right mindset to place a call for B2B, right? So, but the meat of the ad is actually the same ad. You can test and tweak things. Generally, we recommend sort of the 3 big tips. The 3 big tips that everyone who is going to be a customer in your type of business should know. The first thing you want to know is how the Salesforce App Store works. Second thing you want to know is, how much does it cost? The third thing you want to know is, how long does it take to get a good ranking in the Salesforce App Store? And, we, the Salesforce App Company, we do this thing, so you should give us a call. Here's a link.
Yeah.
Or here's a download to get on our email list. But we're on your, while you're on our email list, we're going to keep pitching you for calls.
Right. Okay. So now I'm wondering if like an ad strategy feels like the right move. What would you say about, like, does that go along with an organic strategy that's also happening like parallel to that? Or is it either or does it necessarily have to be both? Do they feed into each other somehow? I don't know. What's your perspective there about how that should land?
Yeah, I think it's A, B, or C. So yeah, if you're just doing organic, great, that's fine. And it's working for you and you have enough business, keep doing it.
Yeah.
If you're doing ads and that's working for you and you've got enough, the amount of business you can handle, let's just say. Mm-hmm. Maybe, a lot of small companies, they don't want to grow 100% or 200% a year. They just can't handle it. They may want to grow 10, 20%. But some others, they want to grow a lot, and there's only so much you can grow with organic. But what do we do when we see an ad the first time for anything? I'll tell you what I do. I don't click. I'm not going to click. These guys are trying to trick me to do something. I don't trust anyone. I'm going to go Google it or ChatGPT it or something to do my own research. And then you're like, well, actually, this product seems pretty good. I didn't click. I didn't sign up for anything, but now I'm seeing this ad again. These guys are I keep hearing about these guys. I don't know why. When we say, I keep hearing that about that brand, you may be the only person targeted, but you're targeted a lot. And you and I may exist in different silos. Like you may be a cyclist and I may be a rollerblader, and I keep hearing about the rollerblading brand. How come no one else is talking about it? That's all I hear about. So
right.
Repetition helps. And sometimes you don't get them in the first try. And sometimes somebody might say, well, I'm looking at them on YouTube. I just want to know whatever. And the traffic may come in through Google. It may come in through Instagram, but you see a rising tide of traffic that may be coming in not directly. Attribution is one of the most difficult things. And other platforms are often the great beneficiary of attribution from YouTube ads.
Right. So as brands are taking this information that you're sharing and they're moving forward with their ad strategy, what are some of the biggest mistakes that they're going to make? Is there like a number one or two or three big pitfalls they need to watch out for?
Well, if it's a B2B brand, spend more on planning and strategy than the campaign. So weight it more. And that's a tough sell. That's one of my toughest sells, is that I want you to actually spend more on my work than what you're spending on the campaign. Who would do that? That's ridiculous. But you don't want to overspend on your campaigns. You only want to spend on the people who have a good potential to make that happen. And you want to really understand what granularly is happening with the ads, but also with the rest of the business. Are you getting suddenly more likes and shares on Instagram or LinkedIn? Are you suddenly getting more direct traffic from Google? So you want to understand what your success is. And then you have to be willing to commit to a few months at least to survey the data, because you're spending so little. Sometimes it's very difficult to get proper numbers to know. Yeah. And you also want to be very careful on the targeting as far as region, language. It depends what type of company you are. You may be an international company and a purchaser in India or Malaysia is just as good as one in Palo Alto, or it may not be. So you really want to understand that about your business, and then age group, income group, and a few other parameters that really can save you a lot of money. One of the other very custom scripts we run that it's very confusing as to why this happens for beginners, but we do our best to block all foreign language and kids channels and music channels with a custom ad script that is not given by YouTube ads. It's very easy. It's the nature of YouTube that parents use the same devices as their children. So you get strange targets of ads where your B2B ad may show up on your kids while your kid's watching a YouTube video, right? And their interests are a bit different than yours.
Yeah.
And that's
not
a very
so
easy
CRMs way. As much.
Yeah, it's a huge way to blow the budget on the wrong way. And generally for B2B, we don't want to target anyone while they're watching movies or music because we feel they're not in the right headspace. We want them short content that is tactical. Also, there is a huge influx of people who, even though you've targeted an English speaking ad, there's a huge English speaking audience. There's a huge international language result that comes in on your videos that it was shown on. Not to knock anyone who's a kid or international or who loves music, but we just feel that those are not helpful. And then you want to test, but most of the time, most of your leads are going to come in from ads that are targeted via computer as opposed to mobile or tablet or TV. But it's very quickly evolving in a surprising way that TV can be a very effective way to target B2B, because many of us, I don't know about you, but we have our mind in work all day, even if we're watching something in the evening that may be about a trip to Mexico that we're taking, get targeted with an ad at the different time of day that's not successful usually, but we're in lean back mode now. That's something you want to test. It depends on the product and other factors. And then I should have mentioned also time of day. So different times of day are better on different devices. So it depends how granular you want to get. But those are some of the things we think about.
Yeah. Okay. That's good perspectives. So I want to just sort of wrap up here with a kind of perspective for people who might be thinking, hey, I can do this myself. This is kind of a self-serve thing. I'll just do the YouTube ad. We'll do it internally. We don't need Dane Golden. So what would you say to those people? And then if they do like what you're saying, they want to work with Dane Golden, how do they take the next steps with you?
So I think if any solution you possibly have in your organization, if it's something that you can learn fast enough, not waste time, and have enough time to manage it, I would say do it internally, right? There's always a way to learn something internally. But if you are short on time, and maybe time meaning the building of the expertise and the managing of it, then that might be something you're willing to do. And also, if you feel you have room for growth and that there's some areas that you feel unexplored, or maybe one of the most common problems with YouTube is people think it's one thing, how it functions, and it's a different thing. Because we've grown up with television. We know how television works. It looks like television more than any of the other social medias, but it doesn't work like that. So you have to change your mindset, and not everyone is open to doing that. So I think if you can learn it, try it, spend a few $1,000s, but don't think that if you didn't succeed, it's not a good platform. Be open to saying, well, we tried some things. We know there's something there. We couldn't figure it out. Now we're willing to talk to someone else.
Okay. And if you're that someone else they're looking for, how should they get in touch with you, and where should they be visiting?
Yeah, what we do is we actually charge for exploration calls. So because the number of people who would like to have success on YouTube for no money and no effort is the population of Earth. So we charge a fee for the first call, just to make sure that someone is actually interested. And we refund that fee from the first project if we end up doing something. And if not, they've got a good consulting call. I have a video that is, here's the 35 questions we ask you for our first call. So we go really in depth in the call. But yeah, they can go to vidaction.tv, vidaction.tv, or just communicate with Dane Golden, not Dane Fredrickson, on LinkedIn.
Well, there you go. So yeah, if you haven't had too much Dane by the end of this, and you want some more Dane Golden, now you know where to go. And Dane, I want to thank you for Dane Golden. I want to share you. Thank you for sharing your insights today. I think that was really helpful for me. I learned a lot, and I think the audience probably did too. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks. And if this is on a platform, I will be in the comments, and so you can reply me with any follow-up questions.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us on the Digital Accomplice video podcast. See you next time.
Thanks for having me.